Expert authority world, have you ever thought about the power of sound and how much it influences our buying decisions and our daily lives? I am super excited to have none other than Mrs. Voiceover artist herself, Jody Krangle, on the show. And she has done some of the most amazing work I've known the past few years. And she doesn't even know this, but I've wanted her on the show for over a year now, year and a half. I didn't tell her this, but she is phenomenal, and I'm going to. They keep moving. There's so many of them here. She has worked with places such as the American Red Cross, Ashley, Bayer, Bissell, Bose, Cambria, Capri Sun, Jasper, Dell, Kraft, Charisma, Joe DiMaggio, Jen Air, HGTV. I'm trying to read this, Jody, your website. I could speed up right now, but Global, Frito-Lay, Elkhart, Depend, Marriott, Nestle. Suffice to say, she knows what the heck she's talking about, and the way she talks about it is so phenomenal. I'm going to bring her up right after we thank our sponsor. Every business needs a book, including yours. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com.
Indulge in Four Diamond excellence under the stars. The outdoor patio at High Stakes Steakhouse. Enjoy all the delicious treasures of our award-winning steakhouse, accented by the elegance of exotic flora, water features, and firewalls. Start with bacon-wrapped shrimp or oysters Rockefeller, followed by succulent seafood dishes or our signature steaks. So why wait? Reservations are just a phone call away.
Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Jody Krangle. Jody, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing great, Mario. How are you doing?
I'm doing a lot better now because I get to talk to you live, and I love seeing your stuff, and you didn't know I was throwing that sizzle reel in there. But I just was like, there's no way that I felt even my intro could do you justice. And as I was watching the sizzle reel, there was about 14, 15 more places you've helped out. I mean, it's phenomenal. I want to know, why did you get into voiceover, and tell me about the power of sound.
Well, the first time that I had an experience with it was in 1995 when I volunteered my time at the CNIB, which is the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. And I was reading magazine articles onto reel-to-reel tape at the time. And it was a lot of fun, and I really liked doing it, and I liked the reason, doing something to help others with the power of the voice, which I thought was very important. And I liked the tech of it almost as much as I liked doing the voicing itself. So the bug was bit, and it kind of percolated for a little while, actually, because I didn't actually end up getting into the industry until 2007. And then it was just, nothing was going to stop me. The power of sound. I mean, like, I talk about audio branding because it is so important for companies, especially these days, because we're all inundated with the visual so much. And it's just so much noise at this point. The internet, everything that happens, all of the things that are assaulting our senses on a constant basis, of all of it, sound cuts through. It actually makes it through everything, and it hits us really hard, really viscerally, and it gives us the emotional context of what we're seeing.
I couldn't agree more, and one of the examples I have used ever since I was a wee youngin', I have always loved video, I've always loved cinematography, and I'm sure it never shows with anything I do.
Oh, no, not at all.
I'm a very visual creature. I'm extremely visual.
Mm-hmm.
And the example I give, whether it's on stage or in my books or whatever, is imagine watching, let's say, Jurassic Park or Titanic without sound. The special effects don't matter. The colors don't matter. The acting don't matter. Or Die Hard. A military movie like Battleship. Well, semi-military. It's still cool. Transformers. All this is happening, and you're just like,
Eh.
But you can have the visuals off and shut your eyes, and you can still transport me through the audio experience.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Because not everyone sounds good. Some people should shut up a lot more than they talk. And I think people like you should be given a bigger platform because you bring so much to the table. How do you make this connection about not just talking, but just bringing the transportation and really bringing someone into that moment?
Well, thank you, first of all. But secondly, I think it has to do with authenticity. And the way that you are able to be authentic when you're performing a script is something that you get coaching for. So being a voice actor isn't just turning on a microphone and recording on your computer. It's a lot more than that, especially if you're going to represent a brand. You have to be a similar sound to what they want to present to the world. You are a part of their audio brand, and that's important. So there's that aspect. But especially now in this day and age, people are so fed up with fakeness. People's BS-o-meters are so high right now that if you don't bring some genuine part of you to what you're doing, people know and they just tune you out. So you have to be a good partner for your clients, first of all, but also you have to bring that authenticity so that when you're performing something that represents their brand, people can connect with you. And it looks like and sounds like you actually care what you're talking about.
Yeah, imagine that. People actually caring about one another. That's
Yeah.
a revolutionary idea.
And something
And
we need a lot more of.
100%. And I think companies, there's been a bad rap over the years. At least this is my take on it. And, well, it's my show, so I'm going to share it.
Go for it.
I feel like people have acted, maybe prior to Shark Tank coming out in 08, 09, that companies were the bad people. But the reality is the company, and I'm not saying they're all great. There's some horrible people out there that shouldn't be given a company or a platform. I think I said that about 6 minutes ago. But I feel like in movies and stuff, it was always the bad, evil corporations, this and that. But if you think about it, the companies and, they're the people who drive everything forward.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who give us the clothes, I was going to say the wheels, the cars, the Marriott, fantastic company. I wouldn't want to be sleeping in an underpass versus a pool in a luxury hotel. I mean, given the option.
That's a good point.
If you ask me. But I feel that so many of the companies, the good ones, it's the only ones I want to associate myself with, they don't convey. I talk to a lot of the CEOs behind closed doors on the phone in the meetings, and what they're telling me, and it's why I love helping them with the marketing and their business books, is because it's like what they're telling me and like what you're sharing with me now candidly may or may not be reflected to the world. And what I'm hearing is you are saying you need to have that inside reality match the outside perception with the audio and what you're trying to convey in the snippets, in the commercials, in the advertisements. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think part of what people are running into right now is that companies are using the same background music that they got from a big directory of license-free music. I mean, companies that have absolutely nothing to do with one another are using the same music. I mean, how does that make sense? If you're a big company and you have, a logo that everyone recognizes, you use certain colors, you use certain fonts, you have a book or an intranet that everyone in your organization knows to consult before they do anything in print, and you don't have any of that thought given to your audio, you're missing out on a huge way of making a deeper connection with the people who experience your brand. And that audio should follow through with the detailed decisions you've made about your visuals. I don't see why more companies aren't doing that. It boggles my mind.
No, I understand, because when I was starting off, it seems like decades ago, And it was. That's why. I think I was trying to say it seems like just yesterday, but it was really decades ago. No, it seems like decades ago because it was. There we go.
Okay.
I remember getting, for video, we were specializing in video. We'll still do, but we were doing video stuff, and I got royalty-free soundtrack bites in sound effects. And I remember then hearing it in Gladiator, the same one. Well, it was Sony's music collection.
Mm-hmm.
And I get what you're saying, because I was like, oh my gosh, Gladiator sounds just like our thing. Well, that's good for you, Mario, but maybe it's the other way around, but it really wasn't. But I get your point. When you have the opportunity to create, like Disney's font, only Disney has that font. When you personalize it, I tell my authors with their books, what is your process? What is the system? What is the one thing that only you have that no one else does? And what I'm hearing is you're saying you should be doing it with the audio. So for Expert Authority World listening right now, what would you say is something that they could do, whether it's a big company, small, medium size, because everyone has speculation on over what is a, I know I talk to people, they're like, oh, I have a small company, it's only doing 12 million this year. And I talk to other people that say I have a big company and it's doing less than $1 million. Well, congrats on you for growing it to both points. But what is something that they could do right now to make that experience better for their prospects and their audience?
I think understanding who your company is really important, not just in the visual spectrum, but also in the audio. Just thinking about it. If you have like a worksheet or something that you've put together to figure out how you made your visual logo, think about doing that for the audio portion of what you do, and relate it to the way that your logo is meant to evoke emotion in people. So for instance, the International Sound Awards every year gives out awards for people who have been innovative in sound. And it's an initiative done by the Audio Branding Academy in Hamburg and Berlin. And when they put this together, they're thinking of innovations in sound. What I saw in 2019 was, I think that Costa Rica did a rebrand of like everything, but I think they did a sound rebrand. And when they did that, part of the things that they were thinking of was, well, our logo is a sun. So what does the sun sound like? You got to sort of think outside the box a little bit, because your brand has certain bits and pieces of it that make it uniquely yours. And that has a sound component to it. You can bring that into the realm of audio and give that some thought and express that in a sound or a piece of music or a voice. There's all sorts of ways that you can make that happen. It's just something to think about. And I don't think that it matters how big your company is or how small it is. I know MasterCard just did a whole audio branding rebrand, because you need to know who you're dealing with in every touch point they have. And they have all sorts of these units that take transactions all over the place. And then you have Alexa and Google and all of these things that are audio only. How do you differentiate yourself? Oh, yeah. Did it start? No?
I love what you're saying, because it's so true. And I am curious, what does the sun sound like?
You'd have to go to the International Sound Awards website and have a listen. I believe
you have
they're
to go to the sun to find out. I'm like,
yeah, right. No, that would not be advisable. But yeah, I believe,
because you could say, well, the sun to me is relaxing, it's soothing, it's calming. But for someone else who's working in it 24/7, maybe not willingly, you could say it's harsh, it's hot.
Well, they're a hospitality brand, right? I mean, like, they're
calming,
tourism.
soothing, and relaxing.
Well, or fun and happy and peppy, like, like all of these things, right? The sun is bright and fun and wonderful, right? Like, this is what you want on a vacation. So they're thinking of it in that aspect. But on the website, if you look at it, I'm pretty sure that they do have the audio actually there on the site that you can have a listen to. Everyone's interpretation is definitely different, but I think in some aspects we kind of have an archetype of these things. We understand that the sun is bright and warm and fun. Like that I think if you said that to anyone anywhere in the world, they would probably agree that that is how they would interpret the sun.
Yeah, and the other thing sun evokes is summer.
Yeah.
I know the sun is out in the winter.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say, what reminds you of the sun, I wouldn't be like, oh, the dead winter, the dead middle of winter.
No.
It's there. It looks pretty in the snow, and it's nice, the one day every month it comes out during the winter, especially here in Detroit. But I think of the sun, I think of the beach, I think of the lake, I think of boating, I think of relaxing. Yeah. Unless it's while traveling through the desert, then it's really hot. But that's where you can say, well, describe Mario to me. Well, depending on who you ask, I might be the nicest guy in the world or a complete prick. So
well,
it's important to know your brand.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
What you want to convey, because it really is subjective depending on who you're talking to. And I'm glad you brought in why knowing your audience and knowing your brand is so important. Is there anything specifically you do with your clients? Let's say it's a brand new client versus one you've worked with a dozen times.
Well, first of all, just to clarify, I don't actually do audio branding. That's not something that I do for clients. I'm a voice actor. That's what I love to do.
I just didn't know if there was even a preliminary thing just to say, well, how do you want this to sound? And do you want me to...
Oh, yeah, definitely. A lot of what happens when I'm working with a new client is I ask them what the music is that they might have behind the video that they're putting together, because that gives me the emotional context. It shows me what tone they're after. It gives me the idea of how bright or how, not bright that they want it to be. Even when you're talking about anything in healthcare, you usually have a hopeful tone. You don't have a, down in the dumps kind of, this is what we're doing. No, you don't ever want that. People want hopeful when they're talking about weighty subjects. They don't want to be brought down. They want to have hope. So the music generally will reflect that. But there's a lot of ways that this can work. And the really interesting thing about audio branding is that when you find that signature sound, it generally translates really well, depending on what instruments you use, because you can change the instruments, around the world. You don't need to have the same language to understand what an audio brand is. It's just there. We all have these human experience archetypes that is part of everyone's understanding as a human being. And yeah, you could change the instruments, and maybe you change the chords that come after one another because there are different chord progressions that resonate differently in different parts of the world. But in general, if you're making some kind of a sound of your company, it can translate no matter where you're sending it out, anywhere in the world, which makes it really cost effective if you think about it.
And you bring up a good point about, I've heard for years, especially while I was in band, choir, and drama, music is the universal language. You don't need to be able to speak the language to understand, everything's going well versus it's probably not. I mean, again, with movies, I'll use Jurassic Park because it's great orchestral parts and it's soothing and flowing. And then when it gets not so fun in the movie, like things go into chaos, it's that deeper tone you're talking about.
Sure.
And depending on what you want to evoke and say, one of the things I like to walk people through is how do you say what you want to say without saying it? If we just sat here and didn't say a thing, what are we automatically giving off right now?
I guess it depends on who you're talking to.
Exactly.
And who's listening.
But I do want to say earlier when I said, well, depending on who you ask, I might be the nicest guy in the world. I would like to think that majority of people would answer that with the former.
Yeah, we all would.
I've rectified the past, but moving along. So out of everyone you've worked with, tell me who has been your, I don't want to say favorite client, but who have you been able to give the biggest transformation to? Like they really just, you blew them out of the water with, I'm sure it's everyone, but I don't know. Just tell me a good story about something good, someone you worked with.
Oh, well, you know what? One of my favorite clients is a company that works with Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital
Mm.
and Memorial Hospital in Hollywood, Florida. And I love working with that bunch of people because they're so appreciative, which is one. Pardon me.
You're okay.
Um, so yeah, it's wonderful working with them and the transformation of giving that hope to kids in particular and to their parents who are watching their kids go through all these difficult times. It's transformational for a lot of reasons. And I love being their voice. It's an honor and a pleasure every time I get to do a spot for them.
That's fantastic, and it's heartwarming too because
Hmm.
it's interesting, and this is what I wrote out before I started the show. Was the people I wanted to attract were obviously successful entrepreneurs like yourself, CEOs, but I wanted people with heart. And I've had people that just have the most incredible stories, much like yourself. And it's interesting because I would say upwards of 80 to 90% of them come back to something about how they help kids, how they help families, how they help the people. And it's not like, oh, our third quarter earnings were yada, yada,
Yeah.
yada. Like,
Yeah.
whatever I mean. So thank you for sharing that. I have one more question before we go to the imperfect action round. And
Okay.
you have no clue what it's going to be.
You're
Do
right,
you?
I don't. No
And
idea.
that's exciting for me because I told you I was going to incorporate some surprises. This will be the second out of the three, and the other one I might add in or not. It was
Okay.
it was good in my mind, but here it is. It's the wheel,
Okay.
whatever.
Ooh.
Whoops, this thing is about to fly off.
Cool.
Yellow or black?
Black.
Nice. Matches my hair. All right. Question for you.
Uh-huh.
What do you think it's going to be?
I have no idea.
You're
Surprise
right,
me.
you don't. Do you think I'm going to talk business or audio or podcasting?
I think you're going to ask me some strange life question. Go for it.
Close. What is the bestest game on the face of ever?
The bestest game on the face of ever? Oh, Dungeons and Dragons. Are you kidding me?
Why? Why is it? Why is it
Because
the bestest game on the face of ever?
because it inspires people to be creative and it
Mhm.
helps with improv, which I need in my business. And it also helps with team building. It's a fantastic exercise for everyone playing. The person running, the people playing. It's all wonderful. And it uses your imagination. That's what a game is for.
It sounds like more people should bring it to the boardroom.
Oh, yeah, actually. I think it would help.
Very, very great. I had a slight suspicion. I'm like, I know exactly what I'm going to ask you. What do I do next?
That was a
I'm
good
having
one.
So much fun. Yep, we're going to thank the sponsor and come back for the imperfect ash round. Thank you, Jody, for
Okay.
the honesty. And we'll be right back. Every business needs a book, including yours. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. Jody Krangle, are you ready to knock it out of the park even some more? What?
I'm going to try.
Even some more?
Even some more?
Who knows? Who knows what's going on here? I don't. So this is the imperfect action round. I got 3 questions for you. They are rapid fire answers that are less
Ooh.
than 60 seconds. And the
Okay.
first one, you know what the first one is?
No.
Well, you should. I showed you the show flow. I'm teasing. The first one is, what is the fastest path to the cash?
Oh, outsourcing, by all means. Because if you pass off what you don't want to do and what isn't in your best, what you don't do best to someone who
Wheelhouse?
does, your wheelhouse. Exactly. Yes. Very good. If you don't do that and you can concentrate more on what you really do best, you make more money. Just in general, you can concentrate on what you really enjoy, and that's where your zone of genius is, right?
There we go.
Yeah.
Number 2, what is the biggest problem you see your prospects making and the fastest way for them to fix it?
Think about your audio. Just think about your audio. Doesn't have to be me doing your voice, but you should be paying attention to the voice that is representing you and the music that you're using and the sound effects and where you're putting them and all of that sort of stuff. It's all important.
Have you heard her? It should be you. But I get your point, and thank you for being cordial. Number 3, what is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
Oh, customer lifetime value. That's an interesting one.
This question will never leave the show. There's people who have, I felt, answered 1 and 2, like kind of like, yeah, no big deal, no big deal.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
some of the people that I thought would just take it with breeze, and you just did it yourself.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm like,
it's a tough one. Yeah. So the value of, can you repeat the question again? I'm just trying to.
Way to.
Oh, thanks a lot.
What is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
I think being highly responsive. For instance, one of the things that I always get frustrated with people about is not answering their email as soon as they can. That annoys the crap out of me. I'm sorry. People who let it sit for a day and a half and don't bother. I mean, I'm not expecting you to answer it in 2 minutes. I do. But I don't expect other people to do that.
We're on a personal level, because I actually have something in the bottom of mine that's like giving about 101 reasons why you probably won't hear back from me. So
I find it really frustrating. But
I
find it frustrating. I find it frustrating with the people who I outsource to. If I'm paying someone money, I want them to get back to me as soon as possible, which is why I get back to my clients as soon as possible, because I know they don't have time to waste. I don't have time to waste.
True.
So, yeah, that's one of the biggies. Be fast. You don't have to take your time just because you can. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying take your time, but I
know people are busy.
I get what you're saying. Like, be professional about it, and don't waste people's time unneededly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know the advertising business works really fast. I know it does. So if I can get back to my client in 10 minutes, that just makes their job easier.
Absolutely. And I'm sure they love you for it.
I like to think so.
I don't think you'd have all the credentials you do if you didn't, and I know that's part of it. So it makes sense. So thank you for that. Where would you books? Ask about the books. Okay. So one of the reasons I love helping authors publish their business books is because books are such a wealth of wisdom, and I always want to give more to Expert Authority World. What are some books that have made a big difference in your life?
That's an interesting question too. You know what? Seth Godin, just about anything that he's written, I love his point of view. I don't always agree necessarily, but I like the way that he puts things, and I like that he puts it in very bare bones terms. Like, it's as simple as he can possibly make it, and it's in that simplicity that it actually makes more sense, that it actually makes sense. That you can follow his train of thought, and it becomes almost a new thought because it's so simple. That's kind of what I love about anything he does.
Yeah, making it simplistic is, there's a lot of people who can take a simple idea and make it complicated.
Yeah,
we need more people who go, okay, here's the world, here's the point of it, here's your job, execute.
Yeah, but he just takes it down to its bare minimum level and explains it in a way that almost makes it seem like it's an entirely new thought, because it's so simple that it almost doesn't bear a resemblance to where it came from.
He's a great author, and I appreciate the recommendation. Where would you like people to learn more?
About me, you're talking about?
Yes.
Well, my voiceover website is at voiceoversandvocals.com. And if you're interested in audio branding, and I go through all sorts of things, so it's not all about advertising and marketing, it's also about healing and science and all sorts of different audio related topics, storytelling, public speaking, all sorts of really interesting things, then that's at audiobrandingpodcast.com. And I think I'm on episode number 82, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And for everyone listening, just listen to her. Even when she talks, I'm like just amazed because it's so clear and concise and easy to understand and professional. It's
Thank you.
You're definitely one of the best at what you do. And I want to throw in one more because, well, I can.
Okay.
For anyone listening, whether they have a podcast or not, I would like to think that they have a phone and a voicemail or an answering system, or they have some sort of vocal mechanism for people to leave messages. How important would you say it is for someone to have a professional message on there?
I think it's really important. And I think that the music that you put behind that voice, if you're going to leave on hold messages going through there, is equally as important. And I've said this elsewhere, but if you're a high-end jewelry store and you have 80s hairband music on your on hold, that's a disconnect. You need to think about that.
That's a great point. Again, so many great points. Thank you, Jody, for everything you've shared. And I wish you the best. I know you're just going to take it to the next level even more.
Well, thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
All right, Expert Authority World. Isn't she great? I wish we had more time, but we have another great episode here today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, and God bless.